Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop.
Heard something on the radio. One of my educators that I pay so dearly for, and probably a very nice person, was talking about living with a new normal. Do I want to live like this? Is this normal? Is this how I expect to exist? I'm 68. That means I've been on this earth more than 68 years. And for at least 65 of it, I've been semi-aware. I figured before I was 3 years old, the world just kind of went on around me. Normal. Such an odd little word. Means so many different things to so many different people. One of the things I've noticed in the new normal is it's awfully hard to understand people. I wear hearing aids. Have for about, let's see, since 2005. And the reason I wear hearing aids is I have bad hearing. And it's difficult for me to understand all the sounds that you can make when you're talking. So, over time, I've developed ways to pick up clues as to what you're saying so that I can understand people better. And with the hearing aids, I can actually get along pretty well in the world. I can tell if you're talking because your lips are moving. I can tell if a politician's lying because their lips are moving. But that's another story. But with this in place, when I'm talking to somebody and they are wearing one of these, or even worse,
Something like this, not only can I not hear them, I can't see most of the clues that I use.
the other thing is they tend to knock off my hearing aids. Had one fall off in a parking lot and get crushed. New normal. Now, this is for when I'm sanding. These are for when I'm painting. This is really not effective enough to use it for anything. And this that's just plain nuts. In 1981, I started working at United Technologies, and that was in the early days of the Environmental Protection Agency. I was 30 years old, just had a birthday. And Rex Barton, my plant manager, came to me and said, "You're the environmental coordinator." I am? Yes. You're the only person among the management staff who took chemistry class. Seemed kind of odd at the time, but okay. Now, my chemistry teacher was the football coach. Nice guy. I also took chemistry with the football team. All of them ended up in the same class with me. I didn't play football. I didn't like football. Having people tell me what to do and tell me how to eat, sleep, drink, breathe, not a good thing for me. But anyways, I was with the football team. Now the football team had to maintain a grade average, and I don't even know what that was. Could have been D or better. I think it was probably close to above average. But anyways, that's beside the point. I was in chemistry class. A very difficult class. A lot of math. Gotta tell you, at the time, I wasn't very good at math. I never took 8th grade math. I went from 7th grade to 9th grade. So the same year that I was taking chemistry class, I was also taking my second year algebra class. Now, second year algebra is tough. I did miserably in first year algebra. But because I was with a football team, and the football team had to maintain a grade point average, the averages in that class were higher than they should have been. So, I passed chemistry. Everybody in class passed chemistry. With an acceptable grade that if I wanted to, I could have been on the football team. I wasn't, but I could have been. So now I'm an environmental coordinator with a busted chemistry class behind me. 1. Basic chemistry. This is how you pour fluid into a beaker is pretty much where I was at. I ended up going to training classes. United Technologies had a plant up by Detroit. Well, it wasn't a plant, it was an executive office up by Detroit. And I ended up going to a seminar up there, 2-day seminar. And Lydia went along with me. She wasn't working at the time. Of course, back then, it was quite common that one person in the family worked and the other one stayed home. Usually it was the guy that worked and the woman stayed home, but it wasn't always. But I made pretty good money and there wasn't any need for Lydia to work. So I ended up in Detroit at the United Technologies corporate headquarters, taking a class in a big room. A lot of pressure. I was there. I knew I shouldn't be there. I knew I wasn't qualified. Now, turns out I was. I was fully capable of understanding the concepts and ideas that they were presenting. So the first day, pretty stressful. But I was getting along. Now, I've always had migraine headaches. If I get under a lot of stress, I get blurry vision. They call that an aura. And the aura is just like a ripple effect. Kind of like Star Trek transporter. And it'll start out in some part of the room, corner of my vision. Usually up high, and then it'll gradually spread until I can't see. Well, because I was having such a stressful day, I ended up getting a migraine. I've since found that if I take 2 aspirin immediately upon seeing the first little sparkles, within 20 minutes, it's all gone. The key is to take the 2 aspirin just as quickly as possible and don't stop doing what I'm doing. If I stop, I used to stop, close my eyes, and sleep for 4 hours. That worked. If I didn't take the aspirin, I got violently ill. Now I'm in a seminar with a bunch of people who were also under a lot of stress, and it was a very important class, and I needed to understand all this stuff, and I couldn't dodge it. So I stayed during the class. Just as soon as the class was over, I got in the car and I went off in search of some aspirin. Well, I was in Detroit. I was born and raised in Coldwater. A big excursion for me was going to Quincy or Bronson on either side, and they were little towns compared to Coldwater, and Coldwater was small. I couldn't find a place to buy any aspirin. It was in the afternoon, so I saw this little store, convenience store at the time. So I stopped in the parking lot, went inside, and I didn't see anybody. There were shelves with stuff on them, and it was kind of a dumpy little place. But I went in search of some aspirin, and I couldn't find it. And somebody said to me, "What are you looking for?" I'm looking around, I don't see anybody. So the sound is coming from somewhere, but I can't tell where. I wasn't wearing hearing aids at the time. I was 30. I hadn't lost my hearing completely yet. And I finally realized that there was a man standing behind a big piece of plexiglass. And I thought, okay, that's a bulletproof shield. My immediate thoughts were, I'm in a big city and I'm in the wrong part of town. But I did manage to find some aspirin. Took the aspirin, and the headache slowly went away. I stayed in the little hotel room that they'd rented for me, Lydia and I. And in the morning, migraine was gone. I went back, took the last of the classes, and went home. But that bulletproof shield stuck with me. I thought, how horrible a life is it to have to live behind bulletproof glass because you're so afraid. I went to the bank yesterday. Kellogg Community Bank. I went to the Kellogg Community Bank and opened an account because I have a YouTube channel. And I'll give out a big secret here. I get paid for ads. Not a lot, but I get paid for ads. When I first started the channel, we had a big laugh, thinking that nobody'd be watching this. And for the longest time, nobody did. First month, I was excited that I had 3 views. I didn't know 3 people knew I had the channel. It was kind of interesting. It was set up for one guy to see how to sharpen a drill bit. Anyways, time went on. In 2012, I decided, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and set up an AdSense account. Now, I had the YouTube channel for 6 years, and I poo-pooed the whole idea of AdSense as being a silly thing. And I thought, you know what? If I found a penny on the street, I'd bend over and pick it up. Always have. In my mind, I hear this thing. Find a penny, pick it up. All day long, it'll bring you luck. Kind of like the plexiglass shield that stuck with me for years. Setting up an AdSense account meant that I had to have a bank account, checking account, or savings account for the money to be deposited into. That's how it works. Electronically, they deposit the money once a month, as long as I make over $100. And since I was going to be making little or nothing, I thought, well, I don't want to have this electronic account tied into my main checking account because it might get hacked. Remember this thought. I was worried that my YouTube channel would allow my checking account to get hacked. 2012. So I went to Kellogg Community Bank, which was, well, actually, I got to tell you the whole story. I went to the Richland Community Bank, which was owned by somebody who lived in Richland. And the Richland Community Bank was just a small bank downtown, one building, 3 people inside, 3 cashiers. Because I wanted to have a bank close enough that I could walk to it. I was going to be retired in a year. At the age of 62, I retired, and that meant in 2013 I was no longer working. And I wanted to have everything I needed within walking distance. I didn't want to have to drive anywhere to go to the bank. So anyways, went to the little bank and I opened up a checking account and a savings account. Package deal. Savings account actually had a little bit of interest that went with it. Well, then I waited for the money to start rolling in. In the year 2012, I made $30. Now, I got paid if I made over $100. It wasn't until the middle of 2013 that I got my first check. That was a big thing, because when I opened up the checking account, I said I'm going to be making about $3 a month, and had a big laugh. I said I'm going to be one of the entrepreneurs of Richland with my $3 a month. So anyways, that little bank got bought out by Chemical Bank. Fine. I didn't like Chemical Bank. Still don't like Chemical Bank. Horrible bank. When Chemical Bank bought out my little bank, it was no longer a little bank, so I went in search of a better bank. Kellogg Community Bank was a local bank. Kellogg Community Credit Union was a small local bank. Yesterday I went to see Kellogg Community Bank. They're in Kalamazoo. I have to drive. Yeah, it kind of spoils the whole effect of the thing. I have to drive to Kalamazoo, which is all of 4.5 miles. And I pulled up to the drive-through window because the lobby is closed. Can't go in the bank. Lobby doors say can't enter. And I pulled out the little plastic box. And the little plastic box goes up a pneumatic tube. And I opened up the plastic box, dropped in the 2 checks that I wanted to deposit in my credit account, and sent off the plastic box. a little TV screen next to the plastic box came on. Now I had the window down on the truck, so I could see the window screen, or the TV screen, fairly easy. And there was a girl standing there with one of these on. And she said something, couldn't tell you what it was. I knew what I wanted to do. I said I wanted to deposit both those checks into my checking, or into my credit account. Now, her eyes are moving and she's blinking, and I can see her cheeks moving. Can't see her mouth moving. Can barely understand that she's making sounds, and I really can't understand what the sounds are. And the screen goes off, and I get to see an ad for Kellogg Community Bank. A couple minutes later, the TV screen lights up. She's back, still got the mask on. And I see the eyes moving, and I hear her talking, but I can't tell what she's saying. Little box comes out. I open it up. Inside's a slip saying that she deposited the money into my credit account. Everything went just the way it's supposed to be. I started the truck and drove off. New normal. I'm living behind plexiglass. People are so frightened of me that they're behind a brick wall, talking to me through an electronic device, and they're still wearing a mask. New normal. I live in Detroit now. The whole world is Detroit. Now, for Detroit, this is the old normal. It's not old normal for me. It's not normal for me. It's not what I want to be. It's not how I want to live. This has to end. I won't live this way. This is not normal. It's not right. It's not how I'm going to live. I'll keep my painting mask, but I'm not wearing bulletproof glass as a shield to protect me from whatever. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all.
This video is not to be viewed by anyone under the age of 13 in the U.S. or 16 in the European Union, without the express written permission of the parents or legal guardians of the underage person. Such written permission must be on file at the local government entity in charge of enforcing the rules and regulations established by the FTC. Anyone violating these terms is admitting by default that they hold harmless the owners and operators of this channel. Any and all questions should be addressed to your local branch of the FTC.